Well, at first when I was little, I wanted to be a tank driver, like in the army, because I thought I'd be safe. And then I wanted to be a chemist until I took chemistry. Then it was ninth grade year. It was actually a junior high that was seventh through ninth grade, and a new band director came, and I just immediately fell in love with music and band, and that's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be like him from ninth grade on, and so my path was easy because I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and so I majored in music in Long Beach State, and the rest is history. It wasn't my first job. My first 3.5 years were down in Southern California. And then when my first child was born, I knew that if I didn't get out then, I never get out. I always felt, we traveled to the mountains, it always just felt right. I knew I wanted to get somewhere in the mountains and where it was pretty. So I applied everywhere in the state. It was pretty. I didn't even check into the program or anything. As long as it was in a pretty spot, I applied. And then I was lucky enough that this is what I got in 1984, the same year that my daughter was born. It's easy to remember her birthday. So I've been here since '84, retiring in this year, 2019, so 35 years at Sierra High School, total of 38 and a half years of teaching. Well, during the year, every year, there are two things I look forward to the most. One is our annual Christmas concert here in December, and it's two concerts that usually sell out every year, and it's become a community event. I've had people going to that concert for over 30 years. Obviously, no kids at the program, they just keep coming and coming, so I love that concert. And then another high point would be our annual 5-day trip that we take in May, and we alternate between going to Southern California, where we go play at several area high schools, and then Disneyland, and then Northern California, where we play at several high schools there and go to the Walt Disney Family Museum. If I had to pick one high point period, it would be when Mariano Rivera came to visit us, and it was a surprise visit. I knew he was coming, but he didn't want any students to know because his foundation uh, purchased for us 85 brand new Yamaha instruments and 85 uniforms. And how that came about was that I had a student, he visited in 2014, and somewhere around 2011, I had a student who was going through my program, and a relative of his, Naomi Gandia, was president of the foundation, and she was coming out for a wedding because she lives in the East Coast, and he told Naomi all about our program and how most instruments were from the 1950s, and the uniforms were over 30 years old. And she said, I think I can do something about that. And he also told her more about the program and our philosophy and how Disney it is, and how the most important thing in our program is helping people. And so she was really inspired and told her relative, Mariana Rivera, and they decided, let's do this. And so they purchased all these instruments and uniforms, and then planned this out with Yamaha Corporation to meet at the same time. He had come in from Japan, and Yamaha drove up from well, the headquarters are in Southern California, but he had a music store that he sent everything to in Sacramento, and they timed it on the same day, and then with my students, and they just all met on this incredible day in November of 2014. And then the news crew from Channel 47 was here also, and why he presented these gifts to us. It was just really amazing. So when I first came here 35 years ago, um, it was just like any normal music program. And I had worked at Disneyland. Actually, I was a sweeper and I dumped trash for one summer before I became a music teacher. And I loved it. And I loved their philosophy of how they treat their guests. And everyone who works there is called a cast member. And then all these ways to make people happy. And so I thought, well, instead of the normal, I was having problems my first year's teaching with discipline that a lot of early teachers do. And I thought, what's a way that I can turn this into a culture where I'm not giving rules and regulations, but that people want to be good. They want to rehearse, and they don't want to talk in rehearsal, and they want to be happy, and they want to be productive and motivated. And I decided that I would try the Disney bit, that if I turned it into a culture more than a rules and regulation, I just made it a culture, then we could make magic. And that's really what happened, and it worked. It took a few years, but not that many. And the kids bought into it, and we have every Friday is Disney Story Day, where we, depending on the year, we talk. We have a theme that we learn about Disney every Friday. Example is this year, it's all about Walt Disney himself and his life. So every Friday they learn more about him. Some years when we're going to Disneyland, it'll be a year of learning all about Disneyland. Some years it'll be about the way the employees treat each other. Some years it'll be about quotes, and just different things to Disney, to bring them into the Disney family and to build a culture of being nice is really what it is. There sure is. I had a student back in '89, a few years after I came here, and Eric DeManny was his name. He played tuba, really fine musician. He was also a great artist, a natural artist. And just one night he drew this for me in one night, and the little version, not the mural. And he presented it to me, said he thought I might like it. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So fantastic that I turned it in 1991, I turned it into the CBDA, California Band Directors Association Bulletin, and they put it on the cover, which I thought was really cool. And then his father was the art teacher at Sanger High School, and he showed his son, Eric, how to put it and turn it into a mural. And it's become our symbol for the past 30 years. Exactly. It's on all our clothing, our T-shirts, our hoodies. It's just our logo. It's our logo. It's the music department's logo. Favorite Disney movies. My favorite animated movie is The Little Mermaid. And the reason behind that, you have to go to the concert to see, because I'm going to talk about why that movie means so much to me. And it's not just that I love the movie, it's because the history behind that movie and why it's so important to the Disney company. Attractions. My favorite attraction at Disneyland, believe it or not, is the It's a Small World attraction. There's so much nostalgia behind that, so much detail, so much story. I love that. And my favorite ride, my second, well, tied with It's a Small World, is Soarin' in California Adventure. Just that's so exciting, and you really feel like that you're gliding. And there's actually quite a bit of history behind that ride too. When we go to Disneyland with my high school groups, there's a whole year where they learn about the trivia, the little things. There's so many little things that they have in Disneyland, and that make, the more things you know, the more exciting the rides are and the parks are. Title of this program is A Musical Kingdom, and so a lot of it is Disney, but not all of it. And you'll be hearing combined stuff with my band. You'll be hearing Pirates of the Caribbean and Brave, and a surprise encore that I can't tell you about. And then by ourselves, Sierra High School will be doing, the band will be doing highlights from The Little Mermaid, and then a medley. The choir will be performing a medley called The Musical World of Walt Disney, which has a lot of your favorites throughout. It's a 12-minute medley that's really fun. And then the community band will be doing several pieces by themselves, including Mickey Mouse March and Gallop from Dance the Hours, which originally, well, didn't originally come from Fantasia, but in America we know it as part of Fantasia. And then a Sousa March called Prince Charming. There'll also be The Hobbit, not the Lord of the Rings Hobbit, but one by Johann de Meij that my co-conductor will be conducting. She'll also be directing highlights from The Lion King. Should be a great concert.